Hey there, TLC tribe. It's Veronica Jones at the Life Coaching Co. And today I'm thrilled to introduce you to my special guest, Jasmine. She's a business development manager and based in Sydney. And Jasmine came to me. She was looking to align her next career move with her skills and her passions, and specifically how to do it. She's joining us today to provide us just with a little peek behind the curtain of her coaching journey and how she really doubled down on her goals to get what she wanted. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Jasmine. Lovely to have you here today, Jasmine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good to be here.
That's great. And thank you so much for joining us. So perhaps we can kick off with you, maybe just starting a little bit by telling us about yourself and where you were at in life and work when we first connected.
So I am Mexican, but I moved to Australia when I was quite young. My mom's Australian. So I've been here for a while, and my kind of career has always been in media and advertising sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into hospitality. But with my father living overseas, I had a lot of kind of chops and changes, I guess. And so I really wanted to be with a company to kind of prolong and have a good long career and stability, because I've been headhunted so much that I've chopped and changed so much. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think where I was, I'm, single parent as well. And I was kind of getting a little bit, I don't know, my sales, I've been doing it for so long that it was getting a little bit repetitive for me. And I wasn't really finding that passion for selling products anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just wanted to reach out. I was with a company that was not a really nice culture and really kind of shook my confidence. And then I kind of started to second guess myself and doubt myself and be like, maybe I shouldn't be in sales anymore, even though all my numbers and everything from previous roles were good. It just unfortunately was a bad company to start with.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to move on and, find out, should I get out of sales completely, or are there different sales that I'm not thinking about? What are my tangible and transferable skills? And, I just needed some guidance.
Definitely. And also you'd been in the hospitality space as well, hadn't you? Coupled with your media experience and so on. So that was something else that you were bringing to the table that we explored in coaching.
Yeah.
So I guess what made you feel like at that point it was the right time to get some support through coaching, and why did you feel like, yep, this is the moment to do it?
I think for me, just where I mean, to be in sales, you have to be quite driven and motivated and passionate. And I felt personally I had lost all of that. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. I wasn't really like at where I thought or I was going to be in my life. I know everyone's probably like that. But for me, I just kind of thought, you know what, I need to figure out what I'm doing and where I can find myself again. And obviously being a single parent as well, you kind of lose who you used to be because your focus is completely on someone else. And I just wanted to kind of meet with someone who understood and what I was going through and could also help me kind of see outside of the box that I'd been in for the last, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so glad you found me and we got to connect.
I know, me too.
So when you think back to that first session or two, what do you think was maybe one of the main kind of challenges that you were trying to work through, either from the mindset perspective or maybe the practical standpoint in terms of how to cut through in a competitive job market?
I think for me, the difficult was I had really at that point been like, I don't want to do sales anymore. I'm obviously not good at it. I've lost my passion. And so having conversations about like, maybe you have so much sales experience, like, what did you love about it? And kind of bringing me back to remembering that. And then also looking outside of the box of, I loved hospitality. So it's like, okay, well then, focus on what I do have and the experience that I have, and then look for roles that I didn't even know existed or didn't think of. So that's kind of what stood out for me, that, it started getting me a little bit excited again, because I was very, very much like, I don't want to be in sales anymore.
That's it. And so in terms of coaching, just helping you get some clarity on your ideal role then, how did you experience us digging into that so you could figure out what you wanted to be doing day to day?
I think what helps is just obviously the conversations, but then also all the handbooks and the homework that we had to do.
Yeah.
So it's not just focusing on the next job or your role, but it's kind of focusing as you as a person and seeing where your traumas come from, or where your, you know, excitement comes from, or your driving, your passion, and just kind of doing everything that you said to do. And, you know, I know you did mention that people might not want to do it, but for me, actually doing it and doing it at my time and being honest with you, saying I didn't get to complete that, or I did, or I need more time, that really helped. And it really kind of made me put at ease.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember working with you also on your key transferable skills, which is a lot of things, a lot of skills people don't often kind of recognize, and how we can build that into what you're putting through to the market to help you cut through. Because, you know, of course, you had skills in sales and so on, you had track record and all that, but also just a bunch of key transferable skills that were soft skills. So your ability to relate to people, and it's like, how do we get that across in a CV that really will cut through and not just sound like everyone else? And this is some of the work, obviously, we were doing together. And, you know, when we started doing that and then getting your skills and your passions aligned and so on, I started to see a real momentum in what you were doing in terms of being able to cut through, and just a transformation in your confidence. But what did you find you started doing differently at that stage, and how did you feel in that process?
I think it's just, again, like you said, like when you're feeling really down and insecure, and you kind of just sit there and you're like, I don't really, like, what do I have to offer? Like, yeah, great, I'm cool, I can make partners, like friendships, or not friendships, but like I'm good at personal skills, or I'm good at relationship building, but you don't think that is a skill. And so again, it just comes back to like conversations with you, and then doing all the homework and building all this, and then you kind of start to see, you tend to also read job descriptions differently. So for me, it was, you know, you'd sit there and when I started, I would read a job description. I'm like, well, I can't do that. I probably can't do that. Like, I don't know what that means. And then kind of just breaking that down with you, and then doing the work that I did, you start to read it differently. You're like, oh, okay, so that's what they mean. They're just using a fancy word or something. And then you kind of learn how to respond to that. And you're like, you kind of go, oh, I can do that. Like, oh, I'm really good at that. And, you know, your confidence starts to build.
For sure. And we saw you do that. And on that note, actually, what I also saw you doing, as well as doing the work, which was so important, was you created this structure for yourself. And, you know, you started to get a routine in place around the structure that was lifting your motivation. So what did that look like for you in practice?
For me, it was a little bit hard, because I was also looking for, trying to look for a house to buy.
Yes.
Which I'd been doing for about 2 years. You know, the market's so stressful, and that was really stressful. But it was funny, because when I started with you, I wasn't working. So I had that attention to kind of give. But so the structure was, I'd kind of lost myself as well, like stopped going to the gym, or again, that comes down to motivation. So it was like, okay, we're going to do the journaling, you know, in the morning. I also have trouble sleeping. So it was like, and with all the anxiety of not having a job and looking for a house, it's more, I was like, okay, if I wake up in the middle of the night, and instead of overthinking, then I would write it all down in my journal, and then I would write down what I'm grateful for. And I think also what was important to point out was, when you can feel really down and when you have so much anxiety, you don't think little wins are little wins, but just saying, like, getting up and feeding my child and taking her to daycare, and then, like, you know, going for a walk, that is so small, but it is a win for where you're at that moment. So not trying to go back to think, oh, I should have been here, or why did I, you know, travel so much when I was younger, and not focus on my career, and just do what you can do, and then be proud of yourself that you're doing that. And then that stuff kind of gets easier, and then you can be like, okay, now I can go to the gym. And then, you know, but for me, the structure was getting up, going to, like, dropping my daughter off at daycare, going to the gym, and then coming back and kind of making it feel like I was at a 9 to 5.
Yes.
And so then sitting at the desk and doing the handbook work, doing some more journaling if I wanted to, and just trying to prepare myself to get back into that environment where there's a little bit consistency.
Yeah.
And so that helped for me.
definitely. That's great. Thank you so much for that share, because it does help our viewers and listeners who are thinking, okay, look, I'm looking for a job. How do I try and get some sort of structure that supports me in doing this? And breaking it up so that it's almost like you're running your own little office, schedule
Yeah.
this in the morning, then we do this at this time and so on. And you then get yourself in that pattern. So acting as if you
Yeah.
are in a role and you're running it like that, and the momentum then flowed, which it certainly did for you.
Yeah. And I think it's not only that, because we did a lot of work about like, trying to find what you're passionate about and what motivates you. And for me, one of them was food and cooking and everything. So,
Yeah.
coming from hospitality, but I had lost that, wanting to do that. It just got too overwhelming, or I just kind of couldn't be bothered, I guess. So part of my schedule day was like, okay, from 3 to 4 or something, then I would cook.
Yeah.
And so, I would try different, so it wasn't all just work and everything. It was trying to build in that passionate again and so into your schedule. So it's like, okay, I'm going to cook. And then that allowed me to try different recipes and, so that it was good. It worked.
Yeah, great. You're lighting up those values and doing it brilliantly. So actually on that mindset side of things, as we were going along, what beliefs or even patterns did you sort of notice that you were shifting that were really helping you back yourself even more?
I think it was more like, don't be so hard on yourself and don't have such high expectations. Just like everyone's trying to do the best that they can and kind of be present. This is where I'm at, but this doesn't mean that I have to be here forever. It just, I'm take it more like, you're working on yourself, and that's fantastic. A lot of people aren't lucky enough to have the time to do that. So really kind of embrace that I wasn't working. I had the free time and I could really focus on and I also was very lucky that I didn't have to just jump in to any kind of role. And I feel like that's what I had been doing. So I could take the time to really feel what kind of role I wanted and what I wanted out of the company as well. Because when you just jump into a role because you're scared of financial, you kind of forget that you're also interviewing the company. And so this was like, what do I also want, and what do I want to take? What is my agenda for the first, 3 or 6 months in the role, and not just trying to always people please and do everything. But what do you want to get out of it that's going to give you that longevity to want to stay in this role and with this company? What are the culture about, what's the culture like, and what are their values that align with yours?
Yeah, that's great. A great tip, because that's helps hone your focus then on the kinds of roles and companies you're interviewing with, to really then fulfill that passion that you're looking for and that real cultural alignment that you're really seeking to get, rather than just I'll jump at anything. Because let's be honest, you could have said, look, I'm not working at the moment. I need to get into a house. I need to find a house. You could have just gone, look, I'll just take anything that comes my way. But you didn't. You were selective, which is great. Yeah. So let's dive into that a little more, because I saw all these shifts happening. You're like, your motivation's coming up, interviews are happening. So not only did you set out to get your ideal role, you were like, I want this house, and I want this little garden view too. So perhaps you can please share how this all worked out.
Well, so I found a place, and just, about 100 meters from the beach. So again, very lucky. Perfect. It has a little garden, and it's very cute, and it's a 2-story little kind of duplex, so it's perfect for myself and my daughter. But yeah, it was very scary. Buying a house is very scary. So I had a lot of anxiety, but again, with the there were times where I reached out and I was like, I wasn't in the mindset to have interviews. And I think that's also the pressure that you put on yourself, that like you have to do everything right now. And it was good just being like, okay, well, look, the house is, you're already in the motions of getting that. We're still in the kind of beginning phase of still figuring out what role you want. So just shift your focus a little bit on that, on the house and settling and everything like that. And then, but still do the handbooks and the homework and the work that we did. And that kind of helped as well with, the process of going through and not being so anxious.
Definitely.
I guess as it could have been.
That's it. And the thing was, you don't have to choose one or the other. But we're of the approach and of the mindset here. It's yes, and yes, I want the home and I want the job. And I'm going to make this happen. And I know you did. So perhaps you can tell me what happened on the work front.
So I applied to, I really what we kind of figured out was that it wasn't the sales that I wasn't enjoying. It was, I guess, the type of sales. And I really loved hospitality and the event space. And I wanted to get more into events space, but I didn't have as much, I guess, experience with it. So we looked at a Sydney restaurant group, and they look after the catering and event space for the Maritime Museum. Mm-hmm. And so my role, it's a new role as well, which is great. So I can kind of create it myself with them. And it's looking after all of the venues, spaces, and the catering side of things for the museum. So I wanted the autonomy. I wanted somewhere where I wasn't always at my desk. I wanted something with flexibility. Flexibility was really important to me. And I wanted something that wasn't going to just be the same thing. Whereas I was previously, let's say if it was beverage sales or something where you're just going to a venue to sell the same kind of stuff. Mm. Here you're networking, you're meeting people. There's several different spaces here that we have, all with harbor views. They're amazing. So you're always, meeting people from the museum, but then I'm still working with SRG on that front and working with the team there. So it's just, every day it's different, which is really what I kind of wanted. Yeah, and I wanted something where I could use my creative side of things as well that I felt like I had lost a little bit.
Yeah. Goal achieved. New home,
goal
new
achieved.
Role. And just the role it's aligned to. Boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. So perhaps you can tell us, what do you love about this role? Like, I mean, you've mentioned obviously a few things there, with the variety and that sort of thing. What's some standout points? I know you've been in for a little while, but what are you loving about it?
Well, I guess there's different things. I love being at the museum. Everyone's super lovely here. The spaces are really great. Everyone's keen to kind of expand on what other stuff can we do, and they're wanting to grow and open to ideas, and everyone's very excited for the ideas that I have to bring. But on the BDM side of it, there's a lot of career growth because this is a new role, and so you do have that freedom to kind of step up and show what you can bring to the table. And, come up with creative ideas. SRG's great. There's, it's a family-owned business, so we work closely with the owner and the directors. And we go into a roundtable kind of style, and everyone shares ideas, and we sit and meet with the beverage manager, the chefs, and we all kind of want it to grow and, get better together. And so everyone has ideas, and it's really nice kind of like sharing and learning from each other.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That sounds like a great cultural fit. And if someone wanted a bit of an insight into your day-to-day as an events BDM for Maritime Museum, what are some of the I guess the events and some of the day-to-day things you get to work on?
So we do so I'm kind of focused more on new business. So for me at the moment, it's really kind of just networking. So it's also, we want to attract more weddings to the venue spaces that we have, especially because of how beautiful and where they are. So for me, it's attending a lot of, wedding expos, and then seeing how we can become exhibitors there, and if that aligns, and if we would target the right people. It's trying to, network with EAs and PAs, with CEOs who book conferences. So it's anything from conferences. The good thing about it is that because it's with SRG as well, and we have, so many venues, beautiful harborside venues. So anything that we can't cater to here, we can then cater somewhere in one of our other venues if it's like a hen's night or something. Vice versa, if there's, a wedding that they want at a different venue that, we just don't have the capacity for, we can kind of cross-sell. So that's the really good part of it. So we're not just a museum, and it's not like, oh, sorry, it's just a space, so that's it. We have so many different options. And I think that's what we're trying to kind of let everyone know, because before, obviously, it was the museum and then SRG. And so we just want everyone to know that. And the good thing about the catering side of it is because we work with so many chefs, we can tailor, all of the menus. So if someone really wants like an Italian style or a different kind of style, because we have so many chefs, we can do that. So it's great.
Sounds sensational. You're getting me excited about a potential future event there.
You should.
So
I would turn my computer around and show you the view of it.
I might all get a bit dizzy. So what would you say was an unexpected win an insight or some kind of moment of clarity that really stood out for you in our work together in coaching?
I think for me is that I don't like to disappoint people. And so I kind of take a lot on, and then I self-doubt myself, or I have too high expectations, and I end up putting more pressure on myself than anyone else. And I would be like, oh my God, I think this is going to happen. And, someone would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because that's not what we're thinking at all. But for me, what really helped is that power pose. So we did that kind of power pose. And I do it probably once a day, if not once every couple of days. And it's just that when I'm starting to have that self-doubt or have those negative kind of gremlins creep in, then for me, that's what helps me kind of snap out of it and then just keep moving on rather than, overthinking everything.
Yeah, love it. And that's a powerful move. When we change our physical state, it positively impacts our results. In that moment, we can transform whatever was going on for us. So it's a pretty incredible thing, that's for sure. Also, I just wondered your perspective on this. So many people find themselves stuck at some point in their career. They're unsure where to turn, or, they've got a role that just feels misaligned. What would you say to someone in that place now?
I would say that there's no, it doesn't harm anyone, or there's no extra work to just reach out to you. I mean, you do the free consultation. There's no harm in trying and having a conversation, seeing if you're in the right mind. I was in the right mind when we started. We had to take a break for a week or two just because I was so anxious about everything else, and there was no hard feelings about that. There was no, it was absolutely fine. There was actually more kind of, support as well, and more on the personal side of things. And it's not just all I'm here just to help you find a job. It's, you're a life coach as well. So it really helps with the guidance of everything. And I would just say, do it, because if you want to snap it, for me, it's, if you keep saying that you're in a problem, or, you don't know what you're going to do and you don't do anything about it, that for me is why? Yeah, it's common sense. There's so many things do something about it if you're feeling that way. And with you, it's perfect because you helped in every aspect. And then it's, I feel like a happier, lighter kind of person. And I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Because I was going to ask you, how do you feel the transformation you experienced impacted work and life? Because obviously you got the role, but how's it gone beyond that, just in your everyday life?
For me, it's made me kind of lighter. So one of the problems that I personally was having, and I'm not sure if I'm sharing too much, but I was, when you're not enjoying what you're doing, and when you feel like you're not in the place where you should be, you start to kind of take it out on the people that were closest to you. And so I would bring negative energy back into my house, and my poor young child was like, why is mother so frustrated or agitated? And I noticed that I was also always tired, and so I was just I just don't have motivation to play with her or to get out and do things. And now, because my mindset has changed, I'm excited to get home and do things with her. And I don't just give her the iPad. I'm I have that energy to sit down for an hour and play with her, or rather than just being oh, I'll just cook dinner quickly. It's let's do it together. And it's made our relationship a lot kind of closer, and it's made me feel a lot lighter, and it's made me a lot more patient. And I think also when I do start to feel that, because obviously it's natural, it's going to come back every now and then, but now you have the tools somehow to kind of snap out of it. So whether it's I take a moment for myself and then just kind of journal or write down again what I'm grateful for, or even go over the handbooks, or, 1 week 6 or week 5 or something that we learned there that I just need a refresher. And it's just, I like to have the tools. So it's not just a one-stop, okay, see you later. It's you have these for life,
That's it. That's the thing about coaching with me. We tool you up. You've got a tool belt now to resource yourself. You just draw them out and boop, you're away to go. And I love that share. Thank you so much. That there is this ripple effect that flows out into our other aspects of life. And a career is obviously such a large part of what the majority of us are doing, probably 8 hours a day at least spent on the career piece. And if we're unhappy in that or feeling unsettled or things are misaligned, we often find that there's that, it spreads out to other areas of life. And, we get that back on track and we support the other areas of life we have, such as our relationships, our kids, our friendships, our interests. And then holistically, we get it all back in balance and things just get back in flow, don't they? So I really appreciate that share. If there was a lesson or insight you could pass on to someone who was just feeling, I'm just too scared to do this, to take the leap, what would it be from your perspective?
I think that you just don't have fear. I mean, again, it goes back. It's so easy to just contact you and just have that initial conversation. I never felt like you were hard selling and being like, well, I'm going to stop with the advice now. And you're on your own unless you, sign up or anything. It was very kind of tailored to what I needed as well at my point. So it's not like this is what I offer and you have to follow it exactly kind of thing. It was like, okay, well, let's tailor it. Or if I, called you and said, oh, today it's not a good day, I'm feeling really this, then even though you had a, plan for the day, we kind of worked more on what I needed. I wouldn't be scared. It's a great opportunity. And I think that it's impossible to go wrong kind of thing, I mean, one of the things that you told me, I remember you're like, oh, you'll get your dream job within 8 weeks. And I was like, okay. And then I got in 6? And I was like, wow.
Yes.
And we even took a break kind of thing, So I was
and you got a home.
And I got a home. So I was like, woman's magic.
That's it. No, thank you so much for that share also, because that is the thing. If we notice fear, I like to think, let's get curious about it. Let's not have it in our grip. Just let's get curious. Where's that coming from? What does this mean? There's something there that's triggering this. It's bubbling beneath the surface. Okay, what might I do? And like you just shared, how about reframe it? Why don't just see this as an interesting, potentially great opportunity? And on that note, explore it that way. See it as an exploration rather than the fear of failure or the fear of whatever it might be. Let's just get curious.
I think that's how I looked at it. I was like, I just don't want to be in this state of mind anymore, and I don't want to be where I am. And I can do for me, because I remember having a conversation with my mother, and I was talking about you, and I was like, what do you think and stuff. And my mom's very supportive, and she's like, anything for growth, I support. And for me, I was like, I feel that when talking to you, I'm like, this stuff makes sense, but I just don't know how to do it, because you're stuck in this fear bubble, and then you're like, I just can't get out of it, and you feel like you're sinking. But it's not so much like hold handing, but it is a little bit, and it just makes you kind of feel like you're coming back up to surface, and then you're like, okay, this makes sense. But it was never like, oh, I could have done that myself. I'm like, oh my God, thank God, she showed me how to get out of that. Because again, like you said, it's all about the tools and how to reframe your mind and everything. And
that's it. And that's the thing, that's a really smart insight. Thanks again for that one, because the thing is, there are areas in our life for all of us where we just don't have a particular knowledge base or skill set or what have you. And rather than struggle, we don't think about it twice when we're doing our tax returns and just send it to the accountant. We're like, they've got the skill sets, they'll get the best return for me. So why do we grapple with this when we, we're struggling in ourselves and we're like, oh, I don't know if I should invest in myself or so on. And yet, it's something we do in other areas of our life so easily. So the more we can start doing that, the more we empower ourselves to go further and faster and get the results we want, just as you did, which is testament to that and the work you put in, of course. Now, if anyone would like to contact you, because I'm getting curious about maritime already. What would be a great way if someone wanted to contact you, maybe about your journey, the maritime, what have you? What's the best way for someone to find you?
Well, I have 2 different email addresses. So I have the restaurant group email address or the museum email address, but you can also feel free to message me on LinkedIn and we can connect that way.
And what's the profile on LinkedIn? What can people
it's just I think it's Jasmine Nichols.
Okay.
So it's Jasmine Nichols. Yeah, Jasmine Nichols. My email address at Sydney Restaurant Group is jasmine@sydneyrestaurantgroup.com.au.
Perfect.
And then, for the museum, it's 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝘀. But I mean, LinkedIn's probably just the easiest.
Great. All right. Well, We heard it here first. You got to hit her up on LinkedIn. Look for Jasmine Nichols.
Yeah,
look for her there at
come
SRG
on down to the museum.
Send her a DM. That's it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And, if you're sitting at home now watching this thinking, I would really like to elevate an area of my career, my business, my life, feel free just to check out the programs at 𝗓𝗏𝐶𝑜.com.au, or you can also join us at Facebook, which is simply facebook.com/𝗓𝗏𝐶𝑜, and we're on Instagram too, at 𝗓𝗏𝐶𝑜. So finally, just a huge thanks to Jasmine for joining us today. Well done on everything you've accomplished and your successes. Can't wait to see what happens next at SRG and Maritime. And thank you to everyone who's joined us here today. And until next time, remember, master your mindset, secure your success.